gonna keep on with this fallen members. We got another one of Lil Durk people. His brother, Dthang. Get it ready, bro. Let's tune in. Let's see what's going on. Bro. Let's see his story. What happened to him?
Now at 6, the brother of local rapper Lil Durk is after shooting at a club in Harvey this weekend. A police officer also injured.
My brother Dthang basically my whole team. You know what I'm saying? But the trucking came first for my brother Dthang.
Multiple shots were fired and lots of weapons were found at the scene. Dante Banks was killed when he was shot in the head. Banks is the older brother of locally known rapper Lil Durk.
One evening in 2021, Dante Banks Jr., better known as OTF Dthang, and as Lil Durk's older brother, was at a club in Chicago having a great time partying with his friends. As it would later be revealed, however, Dthang was partying in his opponent's territory that night, and when he got ready to leave, he was brutally hit in the parking lot in a shooting that also injured a Harvey City Police Department cop. In the aftermath of Dthang's tragic passing, the names of 2 potential suspects started circulating on social media and in the streets of Chicago. Both of these men were rival gang members to OTF Dthang, and based on his previous history, it's highly likely that the accusations are true. Disturbingly, just 1 month after the shooting, the 2 alleged suspects were hit at a gas station in Chicago. And that very same day, dozens of Dthang's best friends and allies, including Lil Durk himself, posted images of him on social media, strongly suggesting that the hit of the 2 suspects might have been carried out in retaliation for Dthang's hit. As of today, police are yet to confirm the identity of Dthang's assailant. It was the evening of June 5th, 2021, and OTF Dthang was at a club called Club O on the 17,000 block of South Halsted in Harvey, near Chicago, having the time of his life. Although he was hanging out in a relatively unsafe part of town and in the territory of the Gangster Disciples, or GDs, his opponents, he let his guard and his hair down and spent the night having a good time in the hookah lounge of Club O. Considering his recent history, most people would have been too terrified to even go near Club O and would have rather played it safe. But Dthang didn't seem to care. In the weeks and months leading up to the night of June 5th, he made a series of inflammatory posts calling out CMB and Dthang, 2 gangs from the south side of Chicago with an active beef with 072 Dog Pound, a gang OTF Dthang was known to be affiliated with. In one of his most notorious posts, he directly disrespected CMB and Dthang. And in that same post, he mentioned that he didn't even know who his opponents were anymore, because all of his real opponents were deceased, which was taken as a blatant sign of disrespect by members of the rival sets he dissed. Fast forward to the evening of June 5th, and it's probably a bit more clear by now why it was so dangerous for Dthang to be partying in GD territory. Around midnight that evening, a policeman named Officer Derek Muhammad with the Harvey City Police Department noticed that one of the patrons at Club O had a gun, and after confronting him, an altercation ensued in which the officer was shot in the thigh. Fortunately, he survived and later recovered from his injuries. Around the same time, OTF Dthang decided it was time to call it a night and went out into the parking lot to head home. There, speculators claim they saw Dthang get into a verbal altercation with other patrons from the club, and after a few seconds, they saw one of the patrons pull out a gun. What happened next is a tragedy all too familiar to the hip-hop community by now. In the chaos of the altercation, OTF Dthang was shot in the head and passed away instantly.
Damn.
As soon as the police and paramedics arrived, Dthang was immediately pronounced deceased. As news of Dthang's passing began to spread, dozens of his loyal fans, friends, and family members poured out their condolences on social media to honor the memory of the fallen rapper. As is often the case with rappers and gang members who pass away due to gruesome crimes, this wasn't the first incident where Dthang had been in mortal danger. In 2014, Dthang's younger brother and famous rapper Lil Durk had beef with another rapper by the name of Mubu Crump. That same year, Dthang ran into Crump's crew at a meet and greet that was hosted by T.I. and the Shop 147 in Harvey, Illinois, and things got very messy very quickly. To make a long story short, the night ended with Dthang and several other OTF members getting into a vicious fight with the Mubu crew, all of which was captured on camera. In response to the incident, OTF Dthang uploaded a video telling Crump and his crew that he wanted to fight them again and taunted the entire Mubu crew for allegedly having run from him during the fight at the Shop 147. 4 years later, on October 8, 2018, OTF Dthang almost passed away when he was shot by his opponents in a McDonald's parking lot. Although he ended up surviving, Lil Durk's cousin, Baby D, who was with Dthang at the time of the incident, was not so lucky and passed away from his wounds. Still, despite all his previous close calls and near-demise experiences, Dthang himself had managed to survive every single time. Unfortunately, his luck ran out in the early morning hours of June 6, 2021. Although police have not yet confirmed the identity of Dthang's assailants, several sources familiar with the incident have claimed that the two men responsible for the hit were 33-year-old Jarmy Hawkins, formerly affiliated with NLC or No Love City, a set of gangster disciples, and 19-year-old Jalen Anderson, a former member of Dthang. As for how these gang members are all connected, it all has to do with gang affiliations and rivalries, as well as the posts Dthang made on social media before his passing. To understand why these two men were suspected by many of carrying out the hit against OTF Dthang, it's important to remember that one of NLC's biggest rival sets is Lamron, one of the gangs that Lil Durk is mostly closely associated with. In the years leading up to Dthang's passing, there had been a lot of tension between the two gangs, which can be easily deduced from rap tracks like R.I.P. Mo, in which Lil Durk directly disrespects No Love City all the way back in 2009. Considering all this context and OTF Dthang's previous disses on social media directed towards Dthang, the hate from CMB and Dthang towards Lil Durk and Dthang was at its peak on the night of the hit. The fact that Dthang was not only the brother of Lil Durk, but also directly insulted Dthang made him a bigger target than most. According to several assertions, Jalen and Jarmy wanted to use Dthang's hit to make a name for themselves. At first, these accusations might have seemed like simple street rumors, but a little after a month after Dthang's passing, the case took a massive turn while Jarmy Hawkins and Jalen Anderson were hit in the parking lot of a gas station on the 6100 block of South Ashland in the south side of Chicago on July 10th. It would have almost been too much of a coincidence if both Jalen and Jarmy were hit just for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. And considering the circumstances, the incident appeared to be a very specifically targeted hit in which a gunman pulled up next to them in a dark-colored vehicle and opened fire. Interestingly, as soon as news of the shooting began to spread, many of Dthang's closest friends and allies started posting pictures of the fallen OTF rapper on social media on the very same day as Jalen Anderson and Jarmy Hawkins hit, leading many people to believe the incident was a retaliation hit for Dthang's passing. In a very revealing post, Lil Durk even uploaded a story of the late OTF Dthang, along with the caption, "Do it for Dthang," which strengthened the theory that Jalen and Jarmy were his brother's assailant and had been taken out in retaliation. Even though this led many people to believe that Lil Durk had ordered the hit, this hasn't been officially confirmed, and Lil Durk himself hasn't commented on the accusations. Over the years, Lil Durk has lost some of his closest friends and associates, including King Von, Turn Me Up Josh, and finally, his dear brother, OTF Dthang, which was by far one of the hardest losses to process for him. Back in 2010, when Lil Durk was just starting to gain popularity and traction in the hip-hop world, OTF Dthang decided to use the money he had to support his little brother's music career. Thanks in part to OTF Dthang, Lil Durk's career started taking off quickly, and when he started making unwise financial decisions, it was OTF Dthang who set him straight by advising him to invest in a trucking company instead of spending all of his money on clothes. In May of 2021, Dthang showed off a new chain he got to commemorate some of his fallen fellow OTF members, including King Von, who lost his life in 2020, and his cousin, OTF Newski, who was also hit in 2014. It's incredibly sad to see how, once again, a man who honored his fallen friends would soon become a fallen friend himself at the hands of the endless viciousness plaguing the streets of Chicago. Ever since his brother's passing, Lil Durk has continued to shout him out in some of his songs, including Pissed Me Off and Aha, showing his respect for the memory of one of his biggest supporters. Dthang's former girlfriend has also continued to honor his memory by wearing a chain with his name on it, along with the multitude of fans, friends, and family members who continue to remember Dthang as a kind, fun-loving man with a great heart. Hopefully with time, police will be able to dig up.
Get these 18-wheelers in, you know what I'm saying? Get this business going. RIP to that man, bro. Another fallen member, bro. We can't bring these people back, but we can stop before we lose another umpteen thousand people, bro.